Okay, so for today's episode of Weekend Shenanigans, what are we working on today? Well, okay, my father picked up an old Coke vending machine, probably from like the 60s or the 70s. Maybe 10, 15 years ago. Anyways, this thing's been running all over the place. It's been sitting out in the yard. Now it's sitting in my front yard. And yeah, it's time to do something about this thing. Okay, all done hammering her out. Got her to about the thickness I wanted. So I'm going to let this just cool down naturally here. Basically annealing it. And yeah, once this gets cool enough to where I can actually handle it, clamp it in the vise, give it a little bit of filing, and yeah. So the premise for those who don't know anything about lock picking is there's pins in a straight line, and what you have to do is you go in and you push on them one at a time. And due to the way the locks are designed, the locks aren't perfect, and you sort of capitalize on that discrepancy in manufacturing, and that allows you to get the pins to hold themselves. And so you sit there, you go one by one, but you need a sort of hook shaped type of piece of metal, and that's what this is going to be. Here's another quick pro tip. Let's say you got a little bit, so I started filing this, but let's say you got a little nubbin on the end there. Come on, focus. Anyways, that's the very tip of the nail sticking up right there. If the damn phone would focus. Ah, there it is. Okay, well, I could sit there and try and file the whole thing off, which would be a pain in the ass, but you could do it. Or the other option is if you clamp it in the vise good and tight, and you take a chisel like this, maybe one that's not quite as beat to hell. If you come in at an angle, the vise and the chisel basically become a giant pair of scissors, and you can cut very thick pieces of metal. So let me get a hammer and knock that sucker off. So I stopped partway through on the cut, and you can just kind of see how it's working. So you come in at an angle like this, and you just work your way across, and it slices it right off. My camera's being a pain in the ass, but you can kind of see the basic shape there. And that's sort of what we're looking for. So I'm going to go give her a test fit and see if it'll actually fit in the lock. Okay, good news. The lock pick fits. Jesus Christ. Anyways, it fits like a dream. So this is an unhardened pick, and that is a problem. Because if I get in there and start really muscling on it, I'm just going to tweak the shit out of this. So to fix that, we're going to heat it up. And then, I should get the oil ready. And dip it into oil to quench it. Alrighty, well, I quenched it, and of course the footage didn't save. So the end that I'm holding is now hardened, very hard. What we're going to do is we're just going to heat up way back. Let the heat kind of run down. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Can't really see it, but it is kind of... I went a little beyond. It's a little bit of a bluish, but I'm pretty far from the end. I might actually dip it. There we go. Okay, I'll just let this cool down to where I can actually hold it, and then go pick some locks. Very nice. Okay, we have our pick, we have our tensioner. Let's see if we can get the sucker open. Okay, this is the culprit. I think it's about a 1970s model. Be a little walk around. Time has not been good to this. We think it used to have a drinking fountain on the side, based off of these holes here. Here's the model information for all you enthusiasts. But, yeah, 15 cents. Okay, so let's see if we can get this guy to pop open. Okay, back to the lab. Unfortunately, I was unable to pick the lock, and that's because the way they made the lock, okay, in a standard lock, actually, hang on, I think I got a demo. Okay, so I found my old practice lock, and this shows you sort of what's going on inside. So you got these pins, and they're spring loaded, and there's also pins in here, and so to get them to clear, you have to push them up, and you preload, and then you can spin the tumbler. Well, if the lock was set up like this, I would have already picked it. It would have been a piece of cake. That's what that tool I made, wherever the hell it went, is for. Unfortunately, the way they put that lock together, it's a whole bunch of So instead of pins, they're using a bunch of pieces of sheet metal, sort of stacked, brass, stacked along each other with rectangular cutouts in between. And so they slide up and down against each other. I guess it's probably cheaper to machine, but it's got a special little caveat. First off, there's no springs in it because the pieces of sheet metal they're just going to kind of go wherever. There may be springs, but I don't know, maybe it's just so much crud in there it doesn't seem to be spring loaded. But when I go to push up against one or the other, they all slide together because they have friction holding them together like a giant sandwich. So yeah, that was a wasted 25 minutes of just sitting there kind of going back and forth on it, trying to pick the pins. But the good news is I looked online and it's a CR209 lock, I believe. And I was able to find a picture of the key because, you could buy them for the lock. So I'm just going to make my own. So I took a piece of sheet metal, stamped out about where the pin locations are, and I'm just going to file this to the same sort of profile as the key, tinker with it a little bit, and see if we can get it to work. I feel like filing is one of those things that's sort of underappreciated, unfortunately. Everybody's like, why not take a grinder, take a mill, and admittedly those are much quicker and better ways to get things done. But one thing that always stuck with me, my father, he worked a large variety of jobs, and one of the places he worked, known as Vector Motor Cars, they made very expensive cars. One of the machinists there was he had trained in Germany to become a machinist. And my father spoke to him, and apparently, get rid of all the burr I'm kind of pulling up. My father spoke to him, and the machinist from Germany, who is now living in the U.S. working at Vector with my father, he said that when he was training to become a machinist in Germany, for the first year, they wouldn't let him touch anything but a file. So he couldn't, he couldn't touch any of the tools, not even chisels, drills, nothing. The only thing that he could touch was a file. And so, he'd start off in a machine shop. He'd be doing things like taking down burrs, and they'd give him drawings and say, okay, we need a shape like this to these dimensions. And that's all he would use for the first year was a file. And after a year of filing, you gotta figure you probably get pretty masterful with it. Now I'm no expert with a file. In fact, I'm fairly downright shitty. Although I could get things pretty close to what I want. But that always stuck with me, that they make you master something as mundane as the file. And in truth, the file is an extremely powerful tool in the shop. You can get, if you have the skills, and you know what you're doing, and you take the time, you can get insane tolerances. So, don't shy away from file work, even though it is tedious and sometimes cumbersome. Ah, crap, why am I missing? This is a Harbor Freight needle file set, which, not horrible, not gonna lie. But, as per usual, I took out some of them to work on the dots, and I can't remember what I was doing. And so they're not in here anymore. Get the burr off. Okay, I think we've got the sort of start of the profile going. So now we're going to flip it back around and do the opposite profile. See how that comes out. Bonehead move on my part. Looking into keys, looking for the PR209. And I find a picture of one. I'm like, ooh, perfect. Okay, so I'll file a key. So I made this, come on, focus. I made this key blank, and it fit like a charm, but the lock wouldn't open. I'm sitting there, I'm trying it, filing it, adjusting it. It's going in smooth as ass, but it just will not unlock the lock. So I go back to the picture, I'm comparing it. It's like dead nuts on the thing. Look up at the top of the key. It's not a PR209. It's a PR203. Son of a bitch. Focus. All right, prototype number 2. Let's see how she does. With enough jiggling, sure enough, that seemed to be it. Now the lock's a little stiff, so I have to use a screwdriver to kind of help it along, especially since my key is made out of sheet metal. But that's it. Okay, here we go. First look inside. I don't know what's in here. My old man doesn't know what's in here. Nobody knows what's in here. Oh, lots of cobwebs and stuff. Huh. Let's see. Hey. A straw and a couple of bottle caps. So let's hang on. Dump these out over here so we can see what's actually in this. I mean, this machine's from the 1970s, I think, early 1970s. Got Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, root beer, Barbie root beer. Oh, that's kind of cool. Barbie orange drink. Okay. So somewhere in here, this is the money collection system, so I guess the money would be in here. This is down there. Oh, come on, whole thing's kind of tearing. Ooh. Spicy. Well, I don't see why she wouldn't run. Gonna have to blow her out, and then, oh, I think I see the cord back in there, so it just got pushed through the hole. It's a good sign. Yeah, not too bad. I think I can get this up and running. She's not looking too hot. As you can see, water appears to have collected in the bottom, and it's ooh, what the hell is that? Oh, it's the carcass of a mouse. You can kind of see the legs and the ribs. Fucking lovely. But anywho, the fan here in the back that runs this guy, the blades are seized. And then also there's a there's another container thing here. So that's a tray for condensate. That looks like it's okay. But the this fan is seized, so the heat exchanger is not going to run worth a damn. And also, there's a power module in there. So it looks like I need to get this whole thing out, but these nuts here look like shit. So here's a good chance to show you the beauty of these guys. So what you do is you get the nut, like right about like that, maybe a little farther back, and you start to grip, and you'll notice once you start to go, like look, I don't even have to hold this handle, it bites down, actually gets tighter. Oh, wow, she actually broke free. Yeah, I mean, now this nut is toast, but I mean, these guys are incredible. I've never had them slip. Holy hell. Would you look at that? It's actually taking it off. Well, tickle me impressed. Well, probably gonna have to remanufacture a couple of parts for this guy. Sort of weird the way the whole thing's split up. You can see all the crud that's still back in there. Interesting compressor. I hope it's still sealed. This guy's pretty good and rusted. I wonder if it hung from something at one point. Well, let's see if we can get this thing a little further out. Lo and behold, the fan actually works. It was just for some reason jammed up against the heat exchanger here. So yeah, we might actually be hooking up some power to this thing to see what happens. Well, I can't find my power strip with the switch on it, so you're about to see how quickly I can plug and unplug if something should go wrong. I think it should be okay, so here we go. Oh. Well, she ran for a second and then stopped. Okay, so here's how this thing works. Power comes in, used to go into this little block thing, actually it's over here, and that splits it. Power runs to the front section over here, runs to this guy here, which I'm presuming is a fan in the back. I can't see it, but there's probably a fan in there. And then it runs over to this guy here, which is a thermostat switch, which is over here. And the wires for this are all crap, so those will have to be replaced. Then it runs back, and essentially if this thermostat switch or thermal switch allows it, power runs to the compressor, and then through this other thing here, which I'm going to guess is another thermal switch, it runs back out and over to this fan. Although the way it was wired, it made it look like this fan was getting straight power as well. So I think this guy's toast. So I don't believe there's a polarity on this. It's just a switch. So back these guys off, like so. Come on. These do have these sort of little, I don't know if you'd call them retaining clips, but it's these little loops here. It's sort of, I don't know if you can see that, that hold them on. So you gotta take the screws all the way off, of course. Take that second guy off, and she's off to the garbage. Anywho, put that other guy there for now so it doesn't become lost. This is our donor cord here. And pro tip, if you find some cord or whatnot and you're not sure if it'll work, if you look on the cord, I don't know if this will come out. Focus. Well, anyways, the information rating for the cord will often be printed on it. So top temperature is 105 C, 18 American wire gauge, 2 conductors, 300 volts, and it says FT2, which I'm guessing is 2 feet, but this is more than 2 feet, so I don't know, whatever. I don't need the plug, so actually what I might do, I'm going to cut this guy back about here, just like that. Now we gotta find the right size little ring terminal. Let's see how good of a fit. Oh, that's perfect. That's our man right there. So we're gonna take off that guy, take off this guy, slide these guys on, just like so. And if I can get it, do a good crimp. Yeah, that's a decent crimp. I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. Oop, wrong one. Yeah, that's not gonna let go. I like to crimp it at both spots just so that it can't try and break away. Give them a tug test. Oh, well, that's shit right there. White one's on there pretty good. I don't know why this other one didn't crimp so hot. We'll try it again. There we go, nice and tight. Oh yeah, she's not going anywhere. Okay, tried to do this amicably, but those screws are refusing to surrender, so they're gonna get cut off. Then I can put vice grips on them and get new screws. Okay, fan is out. We'll take it inside and run some tests. Okay, took a wire brush to the end. And I don't know if you can read that, but it says 115 volts, 60 to 50 cycles. High impedance protection use? I don't know. TSE? I don't know. It's an old GE. So, not horrible. Okay, managed to get all the screws out. When they're just a little nibbin like that, all you need, good pair of old vice grips. And then once you get them broken free, you'd use pliers of various sorts to just, spin them around and get them out. Okay, so the device I have here, I don't know if you can call it a device, electrical connector I have here is a plug with 2 alligator clips on the end. And yeah, you should never make one of these. They're also called a suicide adapter because yeah, it's a quick way to suicide if you touch the ends while it's plugged in. So you want to make sure that they're kept separate. And plugging it in, nothing. Well, let me tell you, this is definitely one tough nut to crack, but cracking she is. I'm almost in. And just like that, she's open. There wasn't a fantastical pop like I was hoping, but cover just kind of came right off. See if we can get the main hub off. No, she's in there pretty good. So, now this isn't great. If one of these coils is broken somewhere, aside from at the point where the cord splices right into it, I'm basically SOL. There's really nothing I can do. I mean, I could rewind it, but I'm not. No. Days, happy days. I think I found our problem here. So I tugged up on these wires gently, and as you can see, this wire goes into one of the coils, which is exactly how it should be. And this wire came up with shit attached to it. Where the fuck is the wire? So something happened. Ooh, spicy. And the wire is Not sure if it's down there or up here. This one wire here coming up over the top looks a lot looser than it should be. I'm going to guess that's the wire, and it's disconnected down in there. So if I can get it out, very carefully solder it back to this guy, we'll apply power and see if she chooches. Ooh, baby. Now this is going to sound like the craziest shit ever. And frankly, I can hardly believe it myself. So, yeah, I got a lot of shit. All right, now half of this isn't actually mine, but, you know, I save stuff. People say, oh, you're hoarding, it's stupid. Well, I was thinking about this. I was like, I could have sworn in my collection of motors, yes, that's right, I have a collection of motors, that I had seen a motor similar to this. And sure as shit, would you look at that? I think it's the exact same motor. Yeah. It is, well, this one says impedance protected instead of whatever that other one said. But this is it. This is the exact same motor. Now the question though, this isn't in my collection, so does it actually work? And I think I'm going to have to pop this guy open too because these wires are toast. But, I mean, what are the odds? It's got a different mount on the bottom, but it still has the 3 screws in the back. I couldn't believe it. I went and pulled this out and oh gosh. Happy days, oh happy days. Just to be sure, I'm going to try it on the side. Oh yeah. Dead nuts quiet. Although, I hope it's spinning the right direction. I don't know if it's supposed to be blowing or sucking. The way it's configured right now, it'd actually be pulling air in from the front, which I guess is what you'd want. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you want the hot air to go out the back. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Alrighty, let's get this damn thing in there. Okay, final electricals going in. Just putting the cover on here. Got to get some connections made in here. And yeah, I got to find where I put the screws. Oh shit! I think I put them in. Oh boy, I may have a problem. Okay. So after a ton of mess, ton of tools, all sorts of parts and shit, it's time to try this thing out and see if it works. So go ahead and pull this guy on through. Okay. Let's see. I do believe it is working. Yeah, it's blowing air out the top. See if it actually gets cool though. Lower fan is not spinning. Why is it not spinning? There it goes. Just needed a kickstart, which is kind of weird. I don't think it likes being on a back angle like that. Anyways, now it's running and blowing air. Oh, definitely getting cooler. I think she's done. Yeah. God, that was a pain in the ass. There it is in all its glory. See if we can get it to actually trigger in a way that it'll work. Let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, neat. This thing's kind of spring-loaded. And of course it's got styrofoam and wood and all sorts of stuff. Let me go get some change. Okay, let's see what this thing does. Are they going through? Okay, they're falling into the thing. And they're not coming back out. Let's do a coin return. See what that does. And you don't get your coins back. Son of a bitch. Where the fuck did they go? Okay, let's get out the screwdriver. Well, I guess there was some change in there. The quarters are all mine, but this nickel and this penny from, come on, 1977 and 1969 came tumbling out. So yeah, let's try it one more time, see what it does. Right at the bottom. Oh, because the coin release is stuck. There we go. Now let's see if it works. And right at the bottom. Why won't you keep the money? Okay, there's one. See a penny. Penny should go all the way out and down. No, the penny's stuck. Okay, let's try a quarter. Now the penny came out along with the quarter, but it's supposed to keep the quarter. Son of a... Okay, well, I'm gonna have to futz with this thing later, but at least the AC's running on it, so it'll be cold if I had some glass Coke bottles to actually put in it. Let's see what it's looking like. Ooh, it's nice in there.